All right, let's talk about that dreaded check engine light. We're going to demystify one of the codes behind it, P0354, and get you back on the road.
Okay, so that little amber light pops on, your heart kind of sinks, right? But don't panic. Think of it less like a warning and more like a message from your car. And the best part? We can totally translate it. So, first things first. Let's break down exactly what your car is trying to tell you with this very specific code, P0354. Here's the deal. Your car's main computer, its brain, called the PCM, has found an electrical problem. And it's not guessing. It has pinpointed a fault in the ignition coil circuit for one specific cylinder, cylinder number 4.
You gotta think of it like this. The coil and the spark plug are a team. They work together to create that tiny bang of combustion that actually powers your engine. This code is telling us that there's a problem with that little explosion, and it knows exactly where to look, cylinder number 4.
And here's the really cool part. The code itself is basically a map. The computer uses a simple letter system. A is for cylinder 1, B for 2, C for 3, and you guessed it, D points directly to cylinder number 4. So P0354 is literally telling you where the problem is. Okay, so we've cracked the code and we know the location. But how does this error in the computer actually feel when you're behind the wheel? Let's connect the dots and look at the real-world warning signs. Yeah, besides that check engine light, you're probably feeling it too. The engine might misfire. That feels like a stutter or hesitation. You might notice the car shaking at a stoplight, or it just feels sluggish and weak. And are you hitting the gas station more often? That makes sense. That raw fuel smell, that's just unburnt gas getting dumped out the exhaust because cylinder 4 isn't firing. Okay, we know what's wrong and where it is, but why? What's actually causing the problem? Let's play detective and take a look at the usual suspects. All right, number 1 suspect, and honestly, this is the culprit 9 times out of 10. The ignition coil itself has just failed. I mean, think about its job. It sits on a hot, vibrating engine turning 12 volts into 40,000 volts over and over thousands of times a minute. After a while, they just wear out. It's a classic case of a hardworking part reaching the end of its life. Now, even though the coil is the most likely bad guy, you can't get tunnel vision. The problem could also be the wiring to the coil. Maybe it's frayed or the connector is loose. It could even be a totally worn-out spark plug. And in really, really rare cases, it might even be a problem with the car's computer itself. Now for my favorite part. You don't need a bunch of expensive tools to figure this out. There's a super simple, super effective test you can do yourself. I like to call it your diagnostic superpower. It's genius in its simplicity, really. You just find the ignition coil on cylinder 4, and you swap it with a coil from another cylinder that you know is working fine, like cylinder number 1. Then you clear the code with a scanner, start the engine, and see what happens. The whole idea is to see if the problem moves with the part. And this is the moment of truth. You check for codes again. If a new code pops up, like P0351, which points to the coil you moved the coil to, well, you found your culprit. The coil is bad. But if the same old P0354 code comes back, the coil is fine. The problem is somewhere else in that circuit, like the wiring. Awesome. You've done the detective work. You've run the test, and you've got your answer. So, based on those results, let's talk about the final fix and get this thing solved for good. I mean, it really doesn't get any clearer than this. If that trouble code followed the coil you moved, you know for a fact that the original coil is toast. The solution is simple. Get a new ignition coil and replace it. But what if the code stayed put? If you're still looking at P0354, then the coil is off the hook. Now your focus needs to shift to the wiring and the plastic connector for cylinder number 4. You're looking for anything obvious, any cracks, any corrosion, or maybe the connector just isn't plugged in all the way. So there you have it. By understanding the code, connecting it to what you're feeling in the car, and running one simple test, you've taken control. That check engine light isn't so mysterious anymore, is it? You're not just a driver, you're a diagnostician. So the only question left is, what mystery are you going to solve next?